What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the local sets report here on the Rules of Villainy channel. I am Brad, aka the Mayor of Lorcana, and co-host of the Rules of Villainy podcast. This is a video series where each and every week I go through the winning decks here in the St. Louis leagues. But now that we're in the Fabled set championship era, I have some winning decks for you. In fact, I have 6 winning decks for you from this weekend because apparently every store in the area decided this was the only weekend to host them. So we had to, as a community and team, divide and conquer to make sure they all fired, and they did. We had over 50 people or close to 50 people playing on Saturday amongst 4 stores, and we had another 40 playing today on Sunday in 2 stores here in the area as well. So much Disney Lorcana, so many cool decks, and I want to share them with you right now. All right, our first deck comes to you by way of Chip at Game Night, the event that I actually judged this weekend while Vince was out playing elsewhere. Chip got it done with Tiana at Sea. This is a Sea Dogs deck, as you can tell, but he threw in an Aurora and Tiana package for a little bit of extra protection, and that protection actually helped out quite a bit. He made a good meta call there because all of his matchups throughout the day, he was in absolute control of. I watched him absolutely decimate a Blurple deck that could do nothing about the Tiana being exerted and being able to take care of her right away in the situations that they needed to do. I even took some time in between, I think, rounds 3 and 4 to play him with my Blurple deck just for fun to see what I'm going to be in for, because I believe this is a deck that is on the rise even more each and every week as we approach Milwaukee, and he 2-0'd me too. Absolutely incredible with all of these 1-drops out there. He just floods the board. He threw in a couple 2-cost Jim Deere bodyguards, which I saw actually do some work, but the the one card, and he's been on this card for a while. I remember doing him a lot of favors in some previous sets. Go Tamago, former villain of the week here on the Rules of Villainy podcast. He got me, I think, in both games with her at the end of the game. He always had her when he needed to. So leaving damage on your side of the board is absolute trouble when he has 4 ink and 1 card in hand. You can probably expect that it's going to be Go coming down and tagging whatever has damage on the other side for win. I watched him do it multiple times throughout the day as I just kind of casually watched him. He was basically at table 1 most of the day, and I got to watch him play into Sapphire Steel, watch him play into Blurple, watch him play into my Blurple, and absolutely control the entire game. And of course, that 7-cost tramp coming out super early because you have all of those 1-drops out there. Finding that under the sea, it's going to take care of most opposing boards when he casts that or sings it the next turn with the tramp and the combination of another 1-cost character next to it. So absolutely brutal deck. I loved watching it do its thing. Congratulations to you, Chip, and we will see you in the next one. All right, moving on to Fortuna Games, we saw Tommy get it done with Amber Steel once again. If you're familiar with this video series at all, you saw Tommy take down a 47-person tournament last week at Impact Gaming Center with the exact same deck. Not a single change made, as I verified with him today. He's like, why change something that works for me already? And you've probably known this deck. You've come to love it, depending or not love it, depending on what side of the table you're sitting on when it is there. It is fast. It is mean. It always has the answers it needs to get the job done. It quests fast. It protects with the Tianas. It protects with the Pete's to stop you from actions. And then he brings out the good boy in Pluto to protect everything. If Tiana's not there, or even if she is, you have to pay the extra tax to charge into it just to get hit for 5 too if it doesn't have any damage on it. And let alone the fact that he's running 3 Fire the Cannons, 4 Strength of a Raging Fire. He's got 2 cards that he can play on 2 that can sing that song on 3 and just load the board up with characters. Especially, as I said last week, he plays this lady, Family Dog, on 3 to bring out another free character. That Troubadour or that Tiana is singing Strength of a Raging Fire for 4 damage, and it's going to take care of probably your best card on the board, or the biggest threat to him, probably simultaneously in that regard. But absolutely mean deck. Congratulations to you, Tommy. I've said last week we were sure we were going to see you on here again, and here you are. We got one more week of set championships for Milwaukee. Let's see if we can three-peat. All right, moving all the way over to Maryland Heights, Missouri at Forge and Fire. Andy got the job done with Amethyst Steel. This deck has been the boogeyman here in St. Louis specifically for a while, since the set drop, basically, as people were trying to figure it out, refine it to be the consistent deck that it is currently. We saw it go all the way to the finals in DLC Bologna. We saw a couple of them in the meta reports here on the Rules of Villainy channel last week. We're going to see a couple more in this video before we get to the end of it. So spoiler alert there. It is very consistent. It is very scary. It is swarmy because they can find a way to just take all these characters and put them on the board and just smother you with them. They have the docks in here, a 4 of dock. Of course, they always find their dock so they can draw 2 cards. And if you're playing into Blurple, which has been very prominent in this meta, the entirety of Fabled, they're just inking you, giving you more resources to play their characters, and they're finding their draw with Dumbo and Yzma, which he said specifically the amount of pressure it put on his opponents throughout the day to deal with those alone just pushed him further, to the finish line of his matches, because they're just so must deal with as soon as possible. If you're familiar with the podcast at all, we weren't high on Dumbo at the beginning, mostly because of the price, mostly because we weren't pulling him, and just the fact that I don't know what it is. I've come around on him myself personally, that he's very, very good, especially when Amethyst Steel, I think, is the best deck for him with all of the evasives on turn. He's not running the Happy at the 1-drop, but he's running the Smee. He's running the Genie. He's got the Dumbo itself, the Genie itself, and the Elsa, where you can get all these draws out there when you need them, because these characters are all going to find their way onto the board and make you deal with them. He did say he took out a couple of Pete's right before the tournament started, and he didn't miss them at all. I believe he put in these Lilos at the 3-drop spot to replace him, just to give an extra challenger buff when he plays them, because the alien challenger on quest isn't going to matter in this deck, but it's already challenge heavy. It's already board presence heavy, and it's good. I play it every week, play into it every week wherever I'm playing, because somebody here in St. Louis is playing it. They're playing it well. It's getting the job done. And congratulations to you, Andy. I did say, or he did give me his matchups. I got 2 Blurple, 3 Amber Steel, 1 Baja, 1 Mirror, and 1 Emerald Steel on the day. And just, he said it was just, the deck just worked perfectly for him. So congratulations to him, and I'm sure we'll see you on here again, my man. All right, moving all the way out to St. Peters, Missouri at the Collector Store. Mitchell got it done with Amber, Emerald, Chroma Dogs. That's right. This is a little bit different than the Sea Dogs we saw at the beginning of the video. This deck, what it does is it gets out that 3-cost uninkable Chromacon that says whenever one of your characters is banished on your opponent's turn, you may return a chosen character to that player's hand. It could be yours. It could be theirs. If you're wondering why would you want to do yours? Well, we have the Go-Go Tamago in there that we also talked about in the previous Emerald Amber deck, where she comes out and she, for an extra 2 ink, you can just gain lore based on damage left on the board. And there is a lot of damage being left on the board in a lot of these games, because it is a very challenge heavy, board presence kind of meta, and Go-Go bouncing her back and being able to play her again, absolutely clutch in a lot of games. So I love that synergy there. I also like that he's running this 4-cost Genie of the Lamp. He is an evasive 2/3 that quests for 2, and whenever he's exerted, your other character's strength get increased by 2. So everything that you have out there in this kind of deck, you have a lot of things out there, they're going to hit back for a little bit more whenever things challenge into them. And on top of that, if we're putting something back in the opponent's hand wasn't enough, you got the 6-cost Tramp coming out that can just, whenever anything is banished on your opponent's turn as well, you can draw a card. So there's a little bit of hand replenishment there. Of course, Miss Park Avenue herself, the 5-cost Lady Shift 3, comes out and brings any 2 1 or 2 cost cards back from the discard. So there's some draw there, a little bit with Improvise, which also helps with illusions, as we talked about the Amethyst Steel meta here in St. Louis. Basically, Improvise helps get rid of those illusions quite a bit, or the Iagos in Blurple. And one thing that was also very interesting to me was the Lady Family Dog here on 3. We didn't see that in Chip's deck, which is actually surprising. I didn't notice it at the beginning of the video, but Lady Family Dog comes out on 3 and brings out any 1 or 2 cost character for free, just to flood the board a little bit more and work your way to that 20 lore. So absolutely killer deck. Congratulations to Mitchell. Great player. Happy to see decks like this find their way into the spotlight. Everybody's expecting Blurple to be the big bad, but it's not converting. These decks are finding a way through it. And let me tell you what, both this one and Chips, as I alluded to in the beginning of the video, they eat Blurple, man. I got to find a way, because I'm a Blurple player, to find a way through these decks. And it's tough. It's tough out there. So congratulations to Mitchell. We'll see you in the next one. All right, moving on to trading card market in a field of 16, the reckless one, Ron, got it done from Team Rules of Villainy with Amethyst Steel. At first glance, you'll see this deck doesn't look quite different from the deck we saw earlier from Andy, but there are a few key differences that I do want to point out. The first one being something I mentioned earlier, the Happy on turn one cost inkable, 2/1 that quests for 1, and evasive on turn. A little bit more synergy with the Dumbo, very cheap option if you can get him out there. But it's inconsequential at best. It's just another 1 cost option that you could put there instead of the Palace card or something, for example. But the one thing that might make you scratch your head here is Doc at 3. Doc is a very powerful card. You see 4 of in almost every deck that he's played, for just the fact that by the time you play him, you have no cards in hand. You're drawing a free 2 cards when you play him. So why not increase your chances by playing the maximum amount of Docs? Ron made a choice here. And I really like it, because what he's doing here with this combo, if he can pull it off, is he has this 2-cost uninkable action, Magical Maneuvers, in the deck as well. He's running 2 of those to try to synergize with this dock, and just with the board in general. Because what this card does is, whenever you play this action, you return a character of yours to your hand and exert a chosen character. So what this does is, if you have a dock on board or anything on board, but primarily in this example, we're looking at dock, you quest your dock, you bring him back to your hand, and then you can play him again to draw 2 cards. And at the same time, if you have a board presence like this deck is built to do, you're forcing action by turning something sideways a lot cheaper than the 5-cost Elsa that has been a problem this entire set with forcing the action. I wouldn't say problem. It is the card that forces the action in this deck, in all Amethyst decks. But it's a very cheap option to do that and recycle a dock, because there's a lot of times I see players playing dock and they'll just shake their head because they brick their hand with 2 of them. Like, you don't want 2 docks in your hand at the same time, because one of them's not going to get that trigger. So the fewer docks that you have in your hand and the magical maneuvers, for example, you can recycle the same dock. You can get the same kind of effect with like an elephant or something as well. It depends on what you want to do with it. But Ron decided to try out 2 magical maneuvers based on an inspiration from Kristen from Grapes Games on the team as well. And it worked out for him. He got the job done in a field of 16 at the store, and couldn't be happy for him. And I want to shout him out specifically for winning the tournament. His wife had already won. We talked about her last week. He gave the mat to the second place opponent, Link, here on the team as well. And just a sweet moment, and so happy to see that kind of generosity here from another team member in person in the St. Louis community. So congratulations to you, Ron. Congratulations to you, Link, for fighting hard to getting to that second place, and I'm just proud of both of you guys. And finally, our final deck of the week comes to you by way of Jared at Wild Growth Games in Highland, Illinois. Another Amethyst Steel gets it done in a field of 16. If we look at this deck, it is more in line with what we saw with Andy's a little bit ago. It is on the Palace Guard in the 1 slot. It is back up to 4 docks. He's running the Jafars, which I think is just probably flavor over Smee. They are the same statted cards for a 2-cost inkable evasive on turn. And the Dumbo Genie Yzma package, 4 of each of those, finding draw with all his evasive on turns. We didn't talk about the bell on any of these decks, but I think every Amethyst deck is running 2 to 4 of these bells just to move some damage around, especially this one where damage challenging on this deck is very prevalent. So any damage left on the field is vulnerable to be moved around by this bell and help clean things up and keep your characters on the board a little bit longer. 2 Fire the Cannons, 4 Strength of a Raging Fire. Of course, the 4 of 5-cost Elsa's 5th Spirit. Just, again, I can't stress enough how consistent this deck is here in the local game, and probably far and wide. As I mentioned earlier, we saw it get second place in Bologna because it is that good. So congratulations to Jared. I'm happy for you. You and the kids have just been absolutely killing it. Banishing it, I should say, this set. So congratulations to you on getting that beautiful, beautiful, Maleficent Dragon playmat. That's going to do it. That's going to wrap up this week in Disney Lorcana here in St. Louis, Missouri. Thank you to the 6 winners of the set championships for submitting your decks and allowing me to celebrate you here on the channel. Community is everything to us, and if we can, any chance that we can get to celebrate you, we're all on board to do that. So thank you again. Congratulations one more time, because that it's absolutely incredible to see all these winners, and just love that. Maybe I can join you in these next couple weeks, or at least next week, because the week after that it is DLC Milwaukee, and I have no idea what I'm going to play there. But hopefully these decks inspire some people to check them out. Maybe they'll find something they like, tweak it up a little bit, or just play them as they are, and go and have a good time at your set championships. Best of luck to all of you doing that. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications for any kind of Rules of Villainy content that we bring to you. Of course, we have the podcast proper. We have these videos on Mondays. We have Deck Test Tuesdays with Kirsten and Andy, of course, on Tuesday nights. And we're going to have something a little extra special for you this week as well, hopefully in the next couple of days, maybe before the Lorecast on Tuesday. I'm not sure. We'll see how it works out, but really excited to give it to you. So stick around, check that out, hit that like button. I think I said all of that already. And again, until next time, good luck in your set championships. Good luck in Milwaukee, and happy questing.